Look, so as part of our submissions to the Minister of Finance, we had expressed where our immediate pressure points were. Part of it was the historic SABC debt at Centec, which currently amounts to 1.5 million. And there were also pressures around, other of our entities. The engagement we had before the announcement in here was that the 700 million will be earmarked towards clearing the SABC debt at Centec, primarily to ensure that from Centec's liquidity perspective, we keep the operations there, to ensure that all the broadcasters can have access to signal distribution, because as you know very well, signal distribution is an important element of making sure that the public has access to both radio and television media services.
And what about the funding model?
So the funding model, the next stage that is supposed to happen is the consultation with the Minister of Finance. You'd remember that we had been open about the fact that the service provider finished their report on the 6th of February. So what is happening between now is that we are engaging with the Minister of Finance because it has a direct impact on how potentially the allocation of finance is going to happen. Treasury, the Minister of Finance, in fact, is applying his mind to the proposals that are in there, right? So that from government's perspective, once we have finalized which of the options are in there, we can make the determination. And it's important that we do that with one voice, instead of saying this is what we prefer as comms and this is what the Minister of Finance prefers, because the position is going to have a direct impact in terms of how we look, for instance, in terms of how government going forward makes allocations for the SABC, and secondly, how we look at how users and consumers of SABC content make a contribution towards the SABC. And the third element is the fact that any democratic society requires a public broadcaster, because it plays an instrumental role in making sure that the public is informed, it's educated, and it's entertained. So it's working all of this into consideration. I understand full well that there is a pressure for, what in Xhosa say, melebe ngoku. But the reality is we are looking for a solution that will live for generations. So we need to be forward-thinking in that approach.
Thank you so much, sir, for your time. That was Malatsi, the Communications Minister.